Today I'm going to show you how to work the Picot bind off as seen here in my Beauty of the Range shawl design. You could also use this edging on other patterns if you wanted to use something a little more fancy than a standard bind off technique. As you can see here, it just produces a nice little Picot bind off with a yarn over there, which is great for like delicate lacy patterns. I think it's really pretty. But for this demonstration I'm going to work the bind off as if I was working the shawl. So here, I have made a swatch of the diamond pattern, and I've got myself to a point where I'm ready to work the bind off along here. If you are working this pattern, then this would be chart D that I've worked here. So it's just showing the last full diamond motif and the top of the next diamond. So in the actual design it would be this diamond here and the bottom row ready for the Picot bind off. Okay, so first we're going to bind off the first 8 stitches. We're going to do this by knitting 2 stitches together and transferring the single stitch back to the left hand needle and repeating as we go across. So just for example, so we're just going to knit the 2 stitches together through the back loop, I should add. So knit the first 2 stitches through the back loop, pull those off, and then this single stitch here on the right hand needle we're just going to take back to the left hand needle and repeat. So we're going to knit these 2 stitches, first 2 stitches on the left hand needle through the back loop, knit through together and transfer that stitch. So we've done 2 stitches, so we just need to do another 6 more. So let's take, oops, through the back loop, that will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we've done that for a total of 8 times. Just transfer that single stitch back, and for the next step we're still going to knit the 2 stitches together, but this time we're going to leave that single stitch on the right hand needle here. Okay, so and we're going to turn the work over, and then we're going to take the working yarn here to the back of the work and then cast on another 3 stitches from this single stitch here. So if you could do that as a knitted cast on, it would just be 1, 2, 3. So that will give you a total of 4 stitches on the left hand needle there. Okay, so to make the actual Picot point we're now going to bind 3 of those stitches off, and I'm just going to do that by knitting the first 2 stitches, oops, and then taking this stitch here over the top of that one to bind it off. So 1, 2, 3. So we've got here like a little Picot there. That's what we've made. Okay, so transferring that stitch back to the left hand needle and then turning the work over once again so the single stitch is on the right hand needle. We're going to keep the working yarn in front because we're going to now make a yarn over. So just take that yarn over like that and knit the next 2 stitches together. Oops. Okay, so we've got the 3 stitches on the right hand needle, and all we're going to do is take that yarn over the top of the stitch we've just worked, and that one over the top as well. So there you can see we've got the little picot bind off with a hole in the middle. Okay, and if you then transfer that stitch back to the left hand needle, and we're ready to go again with knitting through the back loops. So between every picot we're going to be binding off 4 stitches, but if you wanted a reference point as to where to turn the work, it's always going to be 2 stitches before this yarn over here on the left hand side of the diamond. So we're going to be looking to turn the work here. So just go along a bit, so there's that yarn over there, and it'll always be the 2 stitches before where we stop to turn the work and make the picot bind off. So let's just run through that again. So oops, I'm going to be doing bind off 1, bind off 2, bind off 3, oops, bind off 4. Okay, so we've bound off our 4 stitches. We're now got 2 stitches remaining before that yarn over, so we know we're in the right place, and we're ready to turn the work and create the picot point. So we turn the work over, take our working yarn to the back, and cast on 3 stitches using the knitted cast on. 1, 2, 3. So we've got our 4 stitches on the left hand needle. We're now going to bind 3 of those off. So knit 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We've got a little picot there. Put that stitch back over there and turn over the work. So the yarn's in place at the front, ready to do the yarn over and the knit 2 together. So yarn over, yarn over, oh can't get there, yarn over, knit 2 together, and then take the yarn over and that stitch over the top there, and transfer the single stitch back to the left hand needle. Okay, so there you can see we've made 2 picot bind offs there. Okay, so if you wanted to add a bead to your picot bind off edging, this is where you would do it. So you get yourself to the point where you've done the bind off through the back loop to the point where you're ready to turn the work, and then as before we just turn the work over, taking the working yarn to the back and casting on 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So as per before, we've got the 4 stitches on the left hand needle. Okay, then we're going to bind off the first stitch. So knit 2 stitches, bind off 1, and for the next stitch here we're going to place the bead. So using a small crochet hook, your bead onto the stitch like that and back onto the needle, and then work that as you would usually. So knit that one, bind off that one, knit and bind off, and there you can see the bead sits quite nicely in the centre of that stitch. Okay, turning the work, oh, not forgetting to put the stitch back onto the right hand needle and then you've got the working yarn ready there to do yarn over. So yarn over, knit two together, and then take the yarn over and that stitch over the stitch we've just worked, and there you can see the bead sits really nicely in the middle of that picot bind off. Slip the stitch back to the left hand needle and we're ready to go again. So I'll just run through that once more. Knit two through the back loop for 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, turn the work over, working yarn to the back, cast on 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, bind off 1 stitch by knitting 2, bind off 1, grab your bead, and on this stitch here just slide that down, oops, onto the stitch, pop the stitch back on the needle and work it as you would usually. Just knit through that, bind off, knit, transfer the stitch back to the left hand needle, turn the work over, yarn in front ready for the yarn over, knit 2 together, bind off 1, bind off 2, transfer stitch. Oops. So there you can see the bead in place in the bind off.